The mercenary who finished off all the girls. Everything begins when the mercenary Rance imagines himself on the task of rescuing the young Hickory, who mysteriously disappeared on her way back from school, so he is asked to look for her. Initially, Rance is dissatisfied with the task. The guild leader expresses that he can leave if he wants, but Rance, upon seeing the photo of this girl, responds that she is pretty, so he decides to accept the task, thus setting off towards the town of Lhasa. In this town, he has asked his companion to enroll in the school where Hikari went to investigate. The girl asks him how she will get in, but Rance came prepared with all the paperwork done that will help her enter the academy, so Rance decides to look for information all over the town to find out where she is. He asks from door to door, but in the end, he finds nothing. He goes to his companion to ask if she has found anything, but she responds that she has no information, so the protagonist punishes her and tells her to start looking. The protagonist feels better and enters a bar where the bartender is absent, but upon hearing the protagonist say that he is looking for a girl, he reacts and tells him that his daughter was kidnapped by a group of subjects who call themselves the Infinite Dawn of the Morning. This person is in a cave outside the city, so he asks the protector if he can rescue his daughter. Rance, upon seeing the photo, decides to investigate and see if this case is related to Hikari's. So he sets off towards the villain's lair, where he faces several subjects that the protagonist defeats very easily. Inside the cave, Rance hears the kidnapped girl, but he can't get in. Here appears the second in command of the group of kidnappers, whom the protagonist faces but falls to the ground due to an ability of this girl. She, realizing that he has a very expensive drink, proposes to give him the key in exchange for this drink, and he accepts. He enters the room where he faces the leader. After a tough battle, Rance ends up winning and rescuing the girl. The bartender thanks Rance, and he is thinking about Hikari's whereabouts when he realizes that someone was following him. This girl runs away because she was discovered, and the protagonist follows her. He arrives at the park where she disappears, but she appears behind him to tell him to stop investigating Hikari's case. Rance gets her off him and draws his sword, realizing that this girl is a ninja and has a fight in which just the right moment his companion appears to help him. Seeing that she can handle both, she decides to escape. Rance can't do anything and tells his companion that they will have to keep looking for information. He heads to the Colosseum where he is about to enter, but is stopped by a girl named Amenadu, who asks for his pass to enter, but since Rance doesn't have one, he is not allowed in. So he blames his companion and sets out to find her until a girl speaks to the protagonist to tell him that his friend went to the castle of Le South. Rance finds his companion to ask her how she got involved with this castle. She gets nervous, and the protagonist takes the pass he needed to enter. For the simple fact of not telling him anything, he decides to punish her. Rance shows his pass and enters the Colosseum where he sees a battle under the name of the Ninja Girl, but he doesn't have a ticket to participate in the tournament, and he goes back and asks Amenadu if she has seen the girl in the photo. She says no, but she mentions that she has a ticket to participate. The protagonist asks for the ticket. She refuses to give it to him because she doesn't trust him, so she proposes to go to the cemetery at night because there are zombies that pose a danger to this city, this sect, and they head to the site at night. They face the zombies. They emerge victorious. Rance, with sweet words, starts flattering Amenadu, saying that she is a pretty girl and that the men who live in this city are fools. And to make it more convincing with his words, he gives her a kiss. The next day in the tournament, Rance sweeps everyone away, defeating them easily. After discovering that the ninja who appeared in the tournament was not the same one he was looking for, a girl appears who takes him to the castle to meet the queen. She asks Rance to take care of some ghosts. He refuses for a moment, but is given a reward that is hard to refuse, so he accepts. On the way back, he meets a girl who is also a fighter. Rance looks at the girl's sword and tells her it's special. She tells him that the sword allows her to kill ghosts. The protagonist decides to make a bet on her, and also on something else. This sect bets and heads to the battlefield. Rance watches her fight in the Colosseum where she destroys her enemy and smiles at the sight of the protagonist, making him excited about his fight with her. Rance starts thinking about how he can defend against his rival's attack. He tries different ways to defend himself, but none of them convince him. So in the bar, they start telling him that he will never defeat her. Just as a fight is about to break out, a royal guard enters to talk to Rance to give him a personality change scroll. This is the sect, where he starts thinking of a way to win the encounter and comes up with the idea of using a slippery liquid, and the people in the bar tell him it's a good idea, so he decides to use it. The next day he goes to his companion to chat about the object that will help him win. Here Rance uses the personality scroll to bring out the opposite side of Syl, and after having fun playing with this, he realizes that using something slippery is a good option, so he goes to the place where they sell it, but it's too expensive, so he decides to steal it but can't, so he asks for a discount. This girl accepts, but if he can eat a plate of food, he does and gets the plant, with which the liquid can be made, thus heading towards the confrontation, where he has a very entertaining battle where Rance ends up winning. The protagonist gives her his hand and reminds her of the promise they made. She is about to hand over the sword, but Rance still didn't want the sword because there was something else they had bet on. So they go to do that first. After the act, she gives him her sword and Renzi heads to the haunted mansion, where he defeats several ghosts, enters a room where he encounters the spirit of a girl. Rance follows the spirit where he has hallucinations with a girl who had been tortured in the worst possible ways. He enters a room where he finds a diary in which the girl told of the horrible ways she was tortured. Ramses realizes that the spirit is that girl who had killed herself and that the spirit tells him that the queen is responsible for everything. Raza is surprised at the great discovery he had made. The spirit tells him that there was another girl in the mansion. Renzi realizes that it could be Jikare, so he decides to open the room where she is and she is rescued, taking her out of that nightmare. Rance asks Medano as a favor to take care of Hikari because he has one last job to do. He faces the queen, where Rance asks her why she tortures girls. She replies that she likes that kind of thing and expresses that her next victim is Syl. The prosthesis is upset and decides to attack, but her maid stops her and neutralizes her with magic, making her lose consciousness. He finds himself tied up and about to be tortured as well. The queen proposes that he be her pet. He refuses, but the queen has other plans, so they decide to inject him with a green liquid. But just at that moment, the ninja appears to inform her that Syl is very strong and that she uses very strong magic to attack. By using this, she activates the emergency system, making the queen and her maid escape from the site. Everyone arrives and sees Rance looking for a secret entrance. They help him and he encounters different enemies that they defeat little by little, until Rance encounters the ninja, where he has a fight in which Rance wins and at the same time obtains information about the queen's whereabouts. Rance runs down the hallway and captures the queen. Her maid appears to attack Rance, but he threatens her, so she lowers her guard and Rance attacks. She falls to the ground. Rance tells Syl to put the queen to sleep to be able to give her a punishment later, since first he has to give it to her maid, and that's what he does. Here Rance decides to go for the queen, but her maid attacks Syl so the queen can escape, and here another battle takes place in which Rance wins.